Today, we're grabbing the Shepherd's Journal, assembling the best crew money can buy, and plunging to the center of the earth. We're looking for answers in a Disney film that didn't just break the rules, it took the rules, shoved them into a torpedo tube, and fired them into the Mariana Trench. Now, this isn't your typical Disney singing princess movie. There's no talking crabs, no magic lamps, and definitely no singing teapots. This is a gritty, pulpy 1914 period piece that feels more like Indiana Jones than Cinderella. It's a movie that asked, what if we made an animated epic for kids who grew up and wanted more explosions? Let's take a look through the TV guide at my second favorite Disney movie, 2001's Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Cue the intro.
What we do here is go back.
Let's talk about the look. This film's aesthetic is a total anomaly. Directors Kurt Wise and Gary Truesdale, the heavy hitters who gave us Beauty and the Beast and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, wanted a comic book come-to-life feel. And to get that, they brought in Mike Mignola. For my comic book nerds out there, he's the creator of Hellboy. Mignolia's style is all about chiaroscuro, the heavy contrast between lights and darks. If you look at the character designs, you'll see those sharp, angular jawlines and those deep, bottomless shadows. Animating in this style was a total nightmare for the team. Disney animators are trained specifically to draw in circles. Everything is supposed to be soft and fluid. Mignola, however, draws in rectangles. There's a famous story that the animators had to go to Mignola school to learn how to draw hands with square fingers and skip the rounded edges. Even the smoke in this movie is drawn with more jagged, angular lines. Fun fact, the production crew was so over the Disney musical formula that they actually wore custom t-shirts that said Atlantis. Fewer songs, more explosions. And they were dead serious. This was Disney's first PG-rated animated film in years, and they traded Broadway ballads for a cinematic, percussive score by my favorite composer, the GOAT, James Newton Howard. Single-handedly responsible for my favorite Disney film soundtrack, Treasure Planet. If you listen to even 5 seconds of the track, The Leviathan, it's plain as day. It's pure, terrifying orchestral power. No lyrics needed. Here, have a listen. Now, let's get to the movie. We open in the middle of the ocean as flying ships and a giant flying lobster fly away from an explosion that caused a massive tidal wave, which, by the way, features some of the most beautiful hand-drawn water effects ever put to film. We briefly see Kida with her mother during the carnage, as Kida's mother is pulled into the heart to protect the city. Following this intense scene, we jump to 1914 to meet our hero, Milo Thatch. Milo is a linguist who works in a boiler room at the Smithsonian Museum. As we meet Milo, he's practicing giving a lecture on the Shepherd's Journal, a book said to contain the location of Atlantis. He's scheduled to have a meeting with the Smithsonian Board of Directors about possibly funding an expedition to go find the journal. Now, I need to bring this up because it kinda irks me, but Milo has a meeting scheduled with the board, right? But right before his meeting, they send him a notice saying that the meeting was moved up to an hour ago before he had received that notice. And then to rub salt in the wound, immediately after that first one, they send a second notice saying the meeting was canceled because he didn't show up. But following this insult, he threatens to quit and ends up going home defeated to his cat. Only to find Helga Sinclair sitting in his living room.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
Helga takes him to the estate of Preston Whitmore, a billionaire who looks more like he's 150 years old and lives on a diet of yoga and spite. Preston Whitmore was really close friends with Milo's late grandfather, Thaddeus Thatch, having made a bet that if they found the journal, he would fund the entire expedition to Atlantis himself. And kiss him on the mouth. He hands Milo the journal, and to Milo's shock, not only was it found where he thought it was, but realizing that his dreams might be real, that he might be able to find the lost city, he threatens to rent a rowboat if the museum won't fund his expedition. Whitmore says, forget about the rowboat, we're traveling in style, and reveals a massive submarine named the Ulysses that is already built and ready to go. As Milo boards the Ulysses, we get introduced to the crew, the same one that went with his grandfather to find the journal to begin with. This ensemble is arguably one of the best in Disney history. It's a Dirty Dozen style group of mercenaries, and they are vivid. You have Dr. Joshua Sweet, a medic who's part African American, part Native American. He's huge, he's kind, and he's the emotional anchor. Audrey Ramirez, a 16-year-old Latina mechanic who's tougher than everyone else on the sub. She's not your typical Disney princess. She's just a girl who wants to open a garage with her dad. Danny Santoroni, voiced by the legendary Don Novello, he's the demolitions expert who's perpetually bored. Cookie, a grizzled cook who thinks grease is a main ingredient in every meal. And finally, Commander Rourke, the square-jawed alpha male leader who looks like a recruitment poster for the army. And I think that's everyone. What? I forgot someone? No, I don't think I did. I think I got everybody. My shirt? Oh, right. Mole. Guillotin Moliere, the geologist who lives in the dirt. And I hate this guy. He's gross. He's weird. And he looks like he smells of Mountain Dew and bacon. I'm really convinced the crew only brought him along because if things went south, they could sacrifice him and nobody would miss him. Just kidding. Mostly. Now the Ulysses is massive. It would make a modern Boeing plane feel like a toy. To make this world feel so massive, Disney used deep canvas technology. This let them move a virtual camera through a 3D painted space, which leads perfectly into the next part, the Leviathan. It's a gigantic robotic lobster, and it's terrifying. This was one of the first major uses of CGI characters interacting with 2D characters. To make it fit the Magnolia art style, they even used a digital ink and paint process to make it blend in with the surroundings. And a little fun fact about the lighting from the Leviathan scene, the crew actually spent days inside the Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico as they wanted to see how lights would actually behave 800 feet underground. That's why this movie has those weird, beautiful oranges and those deep, oppressive blues. It's because it's scientifically accurate cave lighting. On their journey to Atlantis, we get a deep dive into the character chemistry, which is one of my favorite parts of this movie, the journey through the caverns. There's a beautiful quiet scene where the crew sits around a campfire. They're not talking about saving the world or plot dumping for people who are looking at their phones. They're talking about what they're going to do with the money. It grounds the movie. These are mercenaries. They're there for a paycheck. Seeing Milo win them over by just being decent guy is what makes their betrayal hurt so much later on. Immediately following this heart-touching scene, we get the Fireflies. This scene is a masterpiece for tension. It starts as this magical bioluminescent moment, and then, with Milo being Milo, he comes to realize that they're incendiary. One spark and the whole camp is up in flames. They have to escape through the tunnels in this massive drilling machine with it leading the way. It's this peak steampunk moment. It feels claustrophobic and dangerous in a way Disney rarely touches. And when they finally reach Atlantis, it's a living, breathing culture. It's slowly dying, however, as they've lost their ability to read their language. This is where the world building goes from cool to genius. Disney hired Mark Okrand, the linguist who created Klingon for Star Trek, to build a fully functional Atlantean language. It has its own alphabet and grammar. When Milo meets Princess Kida, he doesn't just understand her, he has to translate. This leads to a tragic realization that the Atlanteans have lost their ability to read their own language, and they're living on the ruins of their ancestors, powered by a heart they no longer understand. It's a powerful metaphor for cultural loss. As the crew slowly starts getting accustomed to life in the city, Milo and Kida sneak off to learn about the heart of Atlantis, a powerful crystal that's kept them alive for thousands of years. But then, right as we're starting to get comfortable, comes the twist. Commander Rourke and the crew aren't there for science. They're there for the heart of Atlantis. Rourke attacks Kida's father, leading to his death, and kidnaps Kida, who he forces to merge with the crystal. As he prepares to haul her to the surface to sell her to the highest bidder, At this moment, Milo has been betrayed. But as a result of the relationship building in the tunnels, the crew ends up having a change of heart. Almost a little too late though. As Rourke blows up the only bridge to escape, he escapes with the heart and Kita, turning a discovery movie into a rescue movie. Finally, in the final battle, the more explosions pay off. Milo rallies the mercenaries who have had a change of heart. They've realized that some things are worth more than a paycheck, and they launch into an aerial assault on stonefish flyers Milo discovered earlier in the film on his tour around the city with Kita. The dogfight inside the volcano is incredible. You've got Helga and Rourke in a hot air balloon, Milo on a stonefish flyer, and Aubrey keeping the engines hot. Rourke throws Helga off the balloon in order to climb higher, but it's not enough. The crew ends up getting on board, and Rourke's death, chef's kiss. It's the most metal death in Disney history. He gets scratched by one of the crystals and starts turning into this jagged, glowing statue, and then gets shredded by the propellers of his own escape craft. No falling off a cliff trope here, just pure crystalline destruction. After the crew returns the heart and Kita to Atlantis, Milo stays. He's found a family, a princess, and a culture that values his brain. The movie ends with a letter back to Whitmore and a shot of the restored city. It's a great ending. But why didn't this movie win the box offices in 2001? Honestly, it was ahead of its time. It came out right around Shrek, and the world was moving towards 3D comedies. Atlantis was still a serious 2D action adventure. But its legacy is massive. It gave us a diverse cast, a neurodivergent coded character, and a world that feels deeper than any other Disney movie. Which is why it's still one of my favorites. That's all for our trip through the TV guide today. Now I want to hear from you. If you were on the crew, which job would you want? Would you be in the engine room with Aubrey, or would you be hanging in the mess hall with Cookie? Let me know down in the comments below and give me your suggestions for the next episode of Through the TV Guide. If you liked that video, smash that like button, and if you're new here, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on our next dive. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.